Good morning, friends. It's Heather at Bush Poppy Farm. This morning, I need to start the day by doing some transplanting at a client's house. Last year, we put in containers on her porch for her. There are 10 long containers that are a foot wide and 4 feet long, and they come up to about your hip. And then there are 2 round containers on the ends that cap them. And so it's a very simple mix in there. She wanted simplicity. So they last year we put in boxwoods and bacopa, white bacopa. She just wanted white and green, and impatiens. And this year it's the same, but some of those didn't overwinter well. So we have replacements. So let me show you what we've got. Okay, so we've got these beautiful impatiens. These guys are going in. Now the area where they're going, it's a patio, a back deck that faces east. So they get morning sun, but then afternoon and evening shade, which is really important in our super high heat. Now impatiens can take sun or shade, which is important here. And they did fine. There was a few of them that didn't come back, so we're gonna transplant some of those. So we have 9 of these, and then we have 9 of these guys. Now she doesn't really like pansies, but I showed her these pictures and she was like, oh wow, could we do every other one? So I think these are really cool. Let's see if I can find a tag for you. This variety is Crazy Tunia Black and White. So yeah, really cool looking plant. And then I've got these bacopas, just a 6-pack to replace. There was, I think, 5 that completely died back, but the rest of them survived. They look awful. We just need to trim off all the dead stuff, and they're coming back already, which is crazy, amazing. So that's what we're doing this morning. But the reason I'm showing you now is that for privacy's sake, I'm not going to film doing that work. Basically, I just wanted to let you know what I was doing this morning, what plants we're putting in. So after that, we're going to hopefully get some of the mums transplanted, at least in that first bed. The second bed that needs to be filled, I probably won't get to that until tomorrow because I forgot I have to go pick up prescription medication for my cat in a different town, as well as picking up all of the bouquet bar supplies from one of my clients from last week, so I can get prepared for the one on Sunday. So it's going to be a busy day. And hopefully we'll have a little bit of time when we get home and I can show you some cool stuff that we've got to put in the ground here. Okay guys, we are out of the farm. It is almost 1 o'clock. It was after 1 o'clock. It's been a very busy day. So I am going to get as many mums transplanted in that one bed as I can. I am not going to dig today. Just really not feeling very well. So I think after transplanting these, then it's going to be seed starting at home, because I think I can manage sitting in the greenhouse at home, starting seeds. So we'll do that. But I'm going to take 2 trays down because I think it's only 2 trays we're going to be able to fit. First, I'm going to give them a deep drink of water because, you know, they're small plugs. And they're already dry. I watered them yesterday, but they're already dry. So these, whichever I leave here, are going to dry out very quickly. So they definitely need water for today. And then hopefully tomorrow I can come and do some work on getting these guys in the second bed. First I have to fill that bed, but yeah. So let me go get the watering can, give these guys some water, and then we'll go down and transplant at least 2 trays. great. I got 2 trays in and they took up almost the whole row, just like I expected. You can see starting down there, and I just put 1 in each emitter spot. So they're 6 inches apart, which is kind of tight for these, but that's what they were last year and they produced like crazy. So I'm sticking with it. So the next step is tomorrow to come out and start excavating that row there to put in that cage there. And at that point, I can plant the other 2 trays, but I don't think all of that work is going to get done tomorrow. Now, something very weird is happening with the irrigation. Very weird. You've heard me say that I'm trying to figure out why I'm having pressure problems, because it's never been a problem before. And now I'm noticing that neither zone has enough pressure. So on the way out here today, I stopped, and turned on the zone that is for these beds here. So I know exactly which zone that is. Those guys, I know what hoses they're on, because it literally, I then cut the end of that hose and seal it over. So the water for this area stays in this area, but that's not what's happening. This is running right now. These beds are getting some water, and it's also showing up in the bed I was just working in, as well as this bed here. Now that is impossible because there's only one line that runs down here to run this side of the farm. It is not connected in any way to the zone up here, except at the hose bib. So after I sat and as I was, transplanting, and I was thinking, how can this be? How can this be? I think maybe there's a valve loose at the splitter up at the top, and it's allowing just a little bit of water into both zones, which would explain the low pressure. Because as I can show you here, so first of all, you see it's running, okay? This is the upper beds. This bed has a hose that goes here to this main line here, and it comes down here and feeds these guys. And then as you can see, it's literally ends there, okay? So it is not tied in to the line that runs up there and goes all the way down. So the only way that they can both be pushing water at the same time is if there's a problem at the hose bib, because it doesn't make sense. They don't cross anywhere. So tomorrow, well, first I'm going to check in the shed and see if I have another splitter I can use. Pretty sure that splitter was brand new, but those bearings can wear out. The washers that are the I don't even know what it's called, but it's like goes back and forth to allow water in one side or the other. I mean, those can wear out. So I'm just gonna, if I don't already have a splitter here, I'll just buy one, put a new one in tomorrow morning and see if that fixes the problem. If it does, yay, because now I won't have to worry about not having enough pressure. And let me see real quick. Okay, so here's both pipes. Okay, so this one's cold right now. So this is the one that's running, but this one has water in it. It's heavy. It's not as cold, so it's got less water going into it. So that means there's water running in both of those at the same time. One more than the other. Okay, so hopefully that's gonna be a quick fix, and that will actually solve a lot of my problems. I do have a lot of pieces and parts here, but I don't think I have a splitter here. So I think I'll just go buy a new one. I don't know, maybe. I'm gonna dig around in a bin here. No, I don't have a splitter. I have pretty much everything else, including a second timer and another part that is what flips back and forth. I'll show you when I get the parts. Anyway, I'm gonna go grab a splitter, and I'm gonna get a nice one, an expensive one. Hopefully it'll last longer. And I need to replace the battery and the timer anyway. It's working, but it's better. It's been a year. It's better to go ahead and replace it so that it doesn't just stop working and I'm not aware of it until a few days goes by. So that's gonna be it for the farm for today. Like I said, I'm not feeling well. I've got a lot of nausea today, so I'm having a hard time bending over and doing physical labor. I'm going to head back to the house after I get my splitter, and then I'll show you what seeds we're going to be starting this afternoon. Okay, so here we are up at the hose bib, and we've got the hose bib itself. It's on. Here's my timer. It's running right now on manual. I set it before I went down to the farm. Now, what we see here is a filter, and then here is what I think I need to replace. So, yeah, it's going through both hoses. Okay, well, at least I understand that now. So, this knob here, this little button, points to the line is going to run next. Okay, so right now it should only be running this line, and it should be not running this line. However, I can feel water in both. Now it's colder in this one, which means the majority is here, and that makes sense because this is the line for the beds on the far end of the farm. This is for the line for the beds, the upper beds, the ones right next to the shed. So this all makes sense. And if we do this, hopefully I won't get the camera wet. Well, there's not much coming out there. Well, I still don't understand. Maybe it's just enough. I don't know, guys. I think what I'll do, stop it, okay, and then maybe take this apart and see if there's any clog in there. Okay, I have disconnected both lines. Let's just see where it turns on. Okay, that's correct. All right, so you see it's switched. It's telling us it's going to turn on here next. So let's try that. Okay, so this means if it's working up here, that I need to go down to the bottom, like, you know, at the farm, and see if I somehow tied something in to the wrong line, because I cannot figure this out. That's the only other option, is that I somehow tied the bottom into the top. Yeah. So I'm gonna put this back together. I don't have to buy anything. It's still working. I do need to replace the battery because I don't want it to stop working. And yeah, that'll be tomorrow's job. I don't have the mental capacity to do that today. So let me put this back together and we'll go on about our business. Okay guys, it is the next day. I did not start seeds yesterday. By the time I got home, I was feeling awful, so I took the rest of the day off. But I've already been out working for about, 2 hours this morning in the veggie garden, harvesting for the bouquet bar that I have tomorrow. So I've got a ton of roses from my climbing roses over the archway out there, as well as a bunch of Centranthus. I will harvest all the greenery tomorrow morning because it isn't for till tonight. I mean, the bouquet bar isn't until tomorrow afternoon. But I am back here in the cottage garden before it gets too bright. And I'm going to harvest roses here as well, but I'm also going to do some major deadheading. Look at this chaos here. All the way down the line. I mean, there's still plenty of stems to harvest. The cool thing about this particular climbing rose is that it's clusters of blooms on each stalk as opposed to just a single one. So I can cut this one off and this is still a perfectly good stem. But this one is way more thorny than the one I have out front, which is very easy to deal with. The majority of the stem is smooth and there's just a few thorns. So this one will be a little more entertaining, but it needs to be pruned anyway, because you can see we've got the weight of this is basically almost breaking this branch. So I really need to do some major work anyway. And when they bend over like this, then because they want to go to the sun, then they flip up and then your long stem isn't useful anymore. So I'm going to be doing that. We're going to be cleaning up here as well as harvesting. And I have to harvest a whole bunch of Dusty Miller stems. Now these, are beautiful and great, but that is way too big for a small vase arrangement. So what I like to harvest are these guys. They're short, yes, but we're talking about a small vase arrangement. This is not a big, tall vase. And I have a lot of them here, all the way down there as well. That's the flowering portion of the plant. So whenever I harvest those, then it signals to the plant to produce more because it's not going to seed per se. So I'll be doing that as well, and taking a few, not all, but a few of these ear spikes. Again, these are pretty big, so I haven't decided for sure yet whether I'm going to do that or not. Plus, the main reason that I don't want to take a lot of them is that this is a favorite of the pollinators right now. They love these flowers. In fact, there's a bumblebee right there on that one. That's what I'm doing this morning. I probably will also harvest for the vase arrangements because it goes with the rose colors. Hot Lips Salvia. Also because it's getting very leggy, and you know, in the spring I cut it back down to here, and so this is all new growth, and if I cut this back again, I'll get another flush. And so I want this particular salvia in these pots to get really bushy. Now I tried putting some cucumbers in here, and I just don't like how this looks. It's so haphazard. So I'm going to pull all these out. We're going to replace some of the soil, not today, but then I'm going to put some nice annuals in the front here so that it looks pretty for the summer. Hollyhocks are getting really close to sending up a spike, and I can't wait for that. Buddleia is starting to bloom, and of course all the salvias. Now some salvias are okay in arrangements, but I personally notice that salvia flowers tend to shatter, meaning they just fall out of the bracts once you harvest them. And so I generally don't use salvias like this. This Hot Lips one is one of the few that I've noticed actually stay together after harvest. So generally I don't use salvia for bouquets because then you just end up with like a purple stem with no flowers. You know, lots of jostling around in a vehicle makes that worse. So since I'll be transporting the flowers to people and then they'll be transporting them home, I'd rather use things that I know I can depend on. Okay, and also, even though it's super pretty, I'm tempted to harvest some of these beard tongue stems because they are so pretty and they're nice and long. And I'm wondering, I'm going to read up really quick because I've never grown beard tongue before, but if it's the kind of plant where I can cut back and it will send me another couple flushes this season, then I'm going to go ahead and do that. I just need to read about it real quick. And if that's the case, I'm going to do it because those are so pretty. What a nice little frilly stem for vase bouquets. Okay, so I'm going to get started in on these roses. This is a job. I think actually maybe I'll get my rose gloves because this one is just very, very spiny, and the regular gloves work somewhat for the front of the fingers, but the back of my hands I constantly get, you know, scraped and poked. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go grab my rose gloves for that. Okay, folks, we're back in the home garden. I did run out to the farm. I fixed the irrigation problem. I did tie into the wrong thing. Anyway, it works now. It should be good. And I also watered the mums that are still in the plug trays deeply. But I stopped by the nursery and picked up some plants. So we planted peppers out here in the front garden. Some of them are okay, others have been eaten. Same thing with the green stalk. A lot of them got eaten. So I have a bunch of peppers that are much bigger, much further along, and I'm hoping that will make it easier for them to survive and not be eaten. Some got eaten by rats. Others, it was clearly like roly-polies or whatever, or slugs. So I'm hoping that these large-sized peppers will work. So I'm going to put some out here, some back in the green stalk. So this part of this bed has some sweet potatoes in it, not a lot. And then this is like what's left of a Craig's Grande jalapeno. So that's really going to struggle. It's just not worth it. And here is another one. That just needs to come out. There's no point. It doesn't even have any leaves on it to photosynthesize. So I am going to pop a few in here. I'm going to put them in pretty close together. Peppers don't mind being close together. And they're also going to be in here with 2 bush tomatoes. This one is Patio Choice. They're both Patio Choice, which is nice because the bush tomatoes that I had planted in terracotta pots on the back patio all got eaten down to nothing. There's just a nub there, completely gone. The nasturtiums are still in those pots, but the tomatoes are gone. So I am not going to replace those pots. I'm not going to put edibles in those pots again because it's either rabbits, probably rabbits, because literally there was nothing left of the plant, or rats or mice. I have flowers for those. So I bought some flowers, some Proven Winners ones that will get big and just go crazy. And those, the animals tend not to eat. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop a few in here. And I already deeply watered this bed this morning and filled up the Oyas. So they'll be good. I probably will still water them in once I get them in here. And then I'll put a few down here where they've just been some of them have been annihilated. Like these 2 here, these are both Jimmy Nardello. Those 2 are just kind of gone. I bought more Jimmy Nardello, so I'm going to pop them in there because they're big plants, and I think they'll be fine there. That's the plan right now, and then we will plant up the green stalk with more peppers. I'll show you the kind of destruction there. So it's one of the reasons I start so many peppers and tomatoes from seed is that a lot of them just get eaten. Or we get, some weird weather and they die. So it's just good to have extras on hand. In this case, I have used them all. And so I had to buy some. But the tomatoes are doing good. These guys, I just put up more Florida weave. So they're looking good. We're getting some flowers on some of them. So I'm hopeful that things will go well. I also bought more marigolds. In my view, you can't have enough marigolds in your garden because they are so good. First of all, the French ones are great for keeping root knot nematodes away from your tomatoes. I have not had that problem yet, knock wood, but there's always a first time. So they're great for that. They are also really good at repelling certain other insects. So I think it's really important to have those around. Now, I do have them over here, and I need to deadhead because they're looking rough, but they're putting on another round of growth. And then the corn, I mean, 2 of them got eaten, but I'm like absolutely shocked that this many are still here. I'm kind of afraid to say it out loud. Something is going right, at least. And I have to do a little bit of weeding in here and stuff. So basically, today has been all about replace, harvest for Bouquet Bar, and clean out. I went through one of the beds on the front walk to get rid of all the brown daffodil foliage and stuff, so it looks a lot better. Okay, I'm gonna get these guys planted. So let's look at really quick what I've got. All right, so I have 2 jalapenos here. I still have some jalapenos that survived, but I really like making cowboy candy, and so I wanted to make sure I had enough jalapenos. There's one more right here. And then these 2 are Jimmy Nardello. It's so funny. The moisture in there is really high, but they're kind of floppy.
And then this, I got some bell peppers. This one is a red bell. That one's a purple one. And then I've got another red bell here. And then the rest of these are these lunchbox mini peppers. And the main reason I did that, I got 2 orange and 2 yellow. You know, with bell peppers, they may produce 1 or 2, maybe 3 peppers a plant. So they're not highly productive, but usually with the smaller ones, the lunchbox ones, they just give you a lot of peppers. And I actually really like those. They're fun to snack on. So I bought more of those. And again, you know, not all my peppers are gone. I still have plenty in the ground, and I still have a few in the grain stock that survived. So, you know, it won't be a huge pepper harvest this year, but we'll have something as long as these guys survive. Okay, I'm gonna place some around and get them dug in. That looks a lot better. I love having stuff in a bed. I had emptied out we'd eaten the lettuce and the broccoli and the cabbage. One of the last cabbages went to the chickens. So this was getting very sparse. So I'm happy about this. I also put a sprinkle of fruit and vegetable time-release fertilizer around every plant in the garden, or at least, you know, all the fruiting ones. The tomatoes, the peppers, the squashes, all that stuff. And then watered everything in because I want that to soak through. When you run everything on drip irrigation and you don't have rain during your growing season, then it's a little harder to get fertilization to the plants unless you put it in a watering can or do what I just did, sprinkle them in the ground and deeply water it in, because you can't rely on the rainfall to do it, and drip irrigation doesn't do it because it's just that one little spot that spreads then underground. So usually I do a foliar feed, but I happen to have a bag of it out here, and I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and fertilize. So everything got a dose of fertilizer, except for the beans. Some of them are looking a little yellow. Actually, it's the older growth. So the newer growth is greener, but I didn't give these guys anything. We'll see how they do. I know they're fixing nitrogen from the air, so they don't need that. And then I planted the remaining peppers over here and popped in a bunch of marigolds because that's what this bed was missing. So yeah, feeling like it's filling out. The squashes are taking off. Pretty much all the squashes are fruiting, but not all of them are setting the fruit because some of them weren't, you know, some of the fruits weren't fertilized. But this is the earliest I think I've ever had female flowers. Usually, you know, you get a lot of male flowers first, and then the female flowers follow later in the season. But this is, yeah, they're being productive. So I'm happy about that. I'm hoping we'll get a really good summer and winter squash harvest this year. And the potatoes still look great. I need to go ahead and harvest these onions. And I think that these are supposed to be like this. I think these are the red ones specifically. I think this is the variety that does this. They don't get a full bulb. I think it's like flat red or something like that. Of Sicily, maybe? I don't know. I'll look it up. But since every single one of them did that, I'm thinking maybe that's what they do. It wasn't an onion veil after all. But there's a few more in here that can stay because they're smaller, and we'll see if they produce bulbs. But I think they might be the same variety. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, that's going to be it for me today, you guys. I know I said I have a bunch of flowers to plant. We will do that tomorrow morning when it's cooler in the back, as well as adding more peppers to the green stalk. It's just getting late in the day, and I've got to figure out what to do about dinner. You know, somebody once said that being an adult is just having to figure out what to do for dinner for the rest of your life. That tracks. So Yeah, I need to go sort that. So I will see you guys tomorrow, but thanks so much for hanging out with me over the last 2 days. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.